Imagine standing on the rocky cliffs of the Mediterranean Basin, staring out at a sea that has been the cradle of civilizations for thousands of years. Beneath those waves and across its shores lives a collection of species so unique, so ancient, and so vital to the balance of the region that losing even one would ripple across history itself. But here's the twist. You probably know the Mediterranean for its food, beaches, and culture. What you might not realize is that its ecosystems are among the richest on Earth, harboring creatures you won't find anywhere else. And today, we're diving into the top 10 species that define this legendary basin. Stick with me, because by the end you'll see the Mediterranean not just as a vacation spot, but as a battleground for survival, wonder, and legacy. Let's start with the Loggerhead Sea Turtle. If you've ever seen one in the wild, you know it feels like spotting a living fossil. These turtles have been swimming Earth's oceans for millions of years, but in the Mediterranean they've chosen sandy beaches in Greece, Turkey, and Cyprus to lay their eggs. Here's the kicker. A hatchling has about a 1 in 1,000 chance of surviving to adulthood. Imagine those odds. Yet, year after year, they return to the very beach where they were born, guided by some mysterious inner compass. Their survival isn't just their story. It's tied to the health of entire marine ecosystems. Now, picture the Mediterranean monk seal. Once worshipped in ancient myths, today it's one of the rarest marine mammals on the planet. Fewer than 800 remain. These seals tuck themselves away in hidden caves along the Aegean and Ionian coasts, nursing their pups in silence, away from human disturbance. They're symbols of resilience, but also of fragility. Because if their habitats vanish, so do they. And with them goes a living thread that stretches back to stories told by Aristotle himself. But the Mediterranean isn't only about animals that glide through the sea or lounge on its coasts. Some of its stars are rooted firmly in the water, like Posidonia Oceanica, also called Neptune Grass. At first glance, it just looks like a seagrass meadow swaying with the current. But here's the twist. These meadows are the lungs of the Mediterranean. They produce oxygen, protect coastlines, and act as nurseries for fish. One meadow discovered off Ibiza is thought to be over 100,000 years old, older than human civilization. If that doesn't make your jaw drop, nothing will. 2. Speaking of longevity, let's talk about the olive tree. You can't separate Mediterranean culture from the olive tree. It's in its DNA. The oldest olive trees in Crete and Spain are estimated to be over 2,000 years old and still bear fruit. These trees have fed empires, fueled trade, and inspired religions. And ecologically, they're powerhouses, providing habitat for birds, insects, and mammals while thriving in the dry, sun-baked soils of the basin. If one species could be called the soul of the Mediterranean, it's this. Moving from land back to the sea, we encounter the Dusky Grouper. This fish can grow to over 1 meter long and is a favorite of both divers and fishermen. But here's what most people don't know. The Dusky Grouper is born female and later transforms into a male. It's nature's way of balancing populations. Unfortunately, centuries of overfishing have pushed them to near collapse, making their story one of survival against human appetite. Then, there's the flamingo. When you picture the Mediterranean, you might think of turquoise water and white-walled villages. But hidden lagoons and salt flats host vast flocks of these elegant birds. They arrive in shimmering pink waves, feeding on microscopic algae and crustaceans. Their presence is a reminder that the Mediterranean is a crossroads for life, where Africa, Europe, and Asia collide, and where migration tells stories older than borders. We simply can't skip the Barbary macaque. Found in the lush forests of Morocco and the iconic Rock of Gibraltar, this fascinating monkey is Europe's only native primate. Troops of these macaques have stood witness to the march of Roman legions, the rise and fall of Moorish dynasties, and the comings and goings of British sailors. There's a legend, that as long as the macaques live on Gibraltar, it will remain under British rule. But really, beyond the folklore, they play a vital role in their ecosystems, dispersing seeds and, shaping the very forests they inhabit. Another keystone species is the Bluefin Tuna. This giant of the sea can weigh as much as a grand piano and swim across oceans in a matter of weeks. Yet, many of them return to the Mediterranean to spawn, making it the heart of their life cycle. Prized for sushi and sashimi, bluefin tuna have been hunted to the brink of extinction. But they're also symbols of power, endurance, and, well, the delicate balance between human demand and nature's limits. The Mediterranean is also home to the Cork Oak, the tree behind the corks that pop open champagne bottles worldwide. But its value isn't just commercial. The Cork Oak forests of Spain, Portugal, and North Africa are biodiversity hotspots, sheltering everything from wild boar to the endangered Iberian lynx. Every harvested tree regenerates its bark, making Cork one of the most sustainable resources on Earth. It's a quiet guardian of Mediterranean biodiversity. And finally, the great white shark. Yes, they prowl Mediterranean waters, though rarely seen. These apex predators keep the balance in check, preventing prey populations from exploding. Their presence is a reminder that the Mediterranean, despite centuries of human influence, is still wild, still mysterious, and honestly still capable of humbling us. Each of these 10 species, turtles, seals, grasses, trees, fish, birds, primates, and predators, carries a story woven into the fabric of the Mediterranean basin. Some stories are about resilience, others about fragility. Together they remind us that this sea isn't just a backdrop for human history, it's a living, breathing system that has shaped and sustained us. The real question is, will we continue to shape it, or will we finally learn to protect it before those stories fade forever?